Are you like us? Tired of all the politically correct horseshit on podcasts and in the media? Need a podcast that's funny, smart, and gassy? It's not politically correct. It's just correct. This is the Carolina Underground. Throw that middle finger in the air. Raise them up. Because it's time to get loud, proud, and in your face. Generation X. Generation X. The best generation of all time meets the grit of the South. It's about everything and nothing at all. From current events to woolly boogers to movies to politics. Loud, brash, funny, and never, and I do mean never, predictable. The Carolina Underground with Mark and Mike.
Yo, 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 it's the Carolina Underground, and guess what, you heifers, we're back again. Coming to you live from the Replica Bat Cave, and I have my partner in high crimes and misdemeanors hiding out in the poison ivy-ridden depths of Sparkleberry.
So is this Paul Roger or is this triple goat peckered coffee that's got you?
It's a little bit of a combination of both.
Well, goodness. Well,
it's Paul Roger, triple goat pecker coffee, and flossy farts.
Well, there you go. Well,
it's an intoxicating bouquet.
And thank you very much for your attention, and have a good evening. That is all the information that we need to disseminate in one evening.
That's right. Hey, that sounds like our State of the Union episode.
Oh, my goodness. That's true. Yep, absolutely.
Well, you know, Barry was talking in, that's his given name, not Barack Obama. His given name is Barry.
Yep.
He got drowned out in Michigan when he was talking up there.
Well, this is there's a couple of things that have been on my mind since the last time we chatted.
Well, one of them, it's been full.
Oh, well, it's been full, and that's for darn sure. But I was listening to a bunch of the talking heads talking about the Democrats and how little effort they're putting in, and they were all flummoxed about it's like and they several of them said a similar thing. It's like they're not even trying. And you know what? That should absolutely terrify everyone, because they're not.
I mean, they hadn't been trying for 4 years, so why should now be any different?
Well, yeah, I mean, they didn't try with Biden, okay, at all. They didn't try during the 2022 midterm elections. And so, again, that to me is the clearest evidence of malfeasance, I guess, cheating, whatever you want to call it, that there is. They're not even putting forth the effort.
Well, it's because they know they're going to do it on the back end.
Yeah. I mean, they know that they're going to monkey with it. And so they only put forth just enough effort that they feel like they can convince enough of the population that the election was not rigged, that there won't be, I knocked my headset off, that there won't be a riot. I mean, that's really all of the effort that they're putting in.
Well, and I've got another take on this after he showed up and talking, and there was another scenario that came out of Michigan as well with the governor of Michigan, that Gretchen Whitmer, who has stuck her foot in it with some video she made mocking 4 billion Catholics on the planet by their mocking of the sacrament of communion.
Yep, no,
but,
I saw that.
I think Barack Obama, and I'm not meaning this just toward Barack Obama. I'm meaning it toward Bill Clinton. I'm meaning it toward Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, and Jimmy Carter and George W. Bush. They have kind of taken the high road. Once they've gotten out of office, they keep their mouths shut. They don't talk politics.
And you know what? They should.
That's what I'm saying. If you are a former president and you are not in the current election running, you should not be talking politics. You are done, past it, over. You
Yep.
should not be putting your 2 cents in because most people didn't care when you were in office. I
No.
don't think you were legitimately elected because I still don't think that you were born in this country. Your book even said you were born in Kenya.
Well, and I agree with several of those points. I do think that he won the vote.
Oh, I get that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with that. What I'm
in the
saying is he
first one.
shouldn't have been on the ballot to
He
get
should
the
not have
vote.
been on the ballot in the first. Yeah, and again, I mean, again, one of my favorite comments that I ever heard about Barry was, somebody saying, what we everybody acts like they're shocked that he was crooked and that there were a bunch of scandals and a bunch of cover-ups and all of that
He
kind
was
of
put
crap.
together from the beginning.
But what do you expect from somebody that came out of Chicago politics? Is
True.
Chicago known for having above board elections anywhere? No, they're
Never.
not. They're
Have they
known
ever
for
had an above board election?
no. They've been crooked since their inception. I mean, my goodness, the mob has controlled Chicago from
Well, and essentially
forever.
it was the Chicago vote that put Kennedy over in the 1960 election,
Right,
and that got him to the point to where he was going to be president because of Sam Giancana and all of those that
right,
essentially swung it his way
right.
because of old man Kennedy.
Hmm.
Speaking of the Kennedys, though, that was interesting this past week. I think the last connection to that generation of Kennedys, I think, passed away. Ethel Kennedy, the
Hmm.
widow of RFK Sr.,
Hmm.
the father of the RFK that was running in this presidential cycle,
Hmm.
she finally passed away at 96.
Wow. Hmm.
That poor woman, I'm gonna tell you one thing: when it comes to suffering, she's done some suffering. That whole
Yeah.
family has.
Well, they have, and again, it's one of those things that I don't necessarily agree with their political views, like to say at all. I mean, again, it was one of those things when my daddy would roll over in his grave if he'd heard me mention that I would consider voting for a Kennedy. But the thing is, that's the difference between the those Democrats and what we have now. Those Democrats believed in the United States, believed
Hmm.
in the American way. They just felt like that. I mean, that used to be the big dichotomy between Republic. That was how you could tell the difference between a Republican and a Democrat. Is Republicans said small government, low taxes, let the
Hmm.
market sort itself out because that's what capitalism is about. Those Republicans don't exist anymore, as far
Oh
as I
no.
can tell. And the Democrats were big government, government in control of everything, and and bigger taxes. Now the
Hmm.
problem is when you consolidate power, then you will inherently, with consolidated power, there will inherently be corruption because once people have that power, they don't want to let go of it. They like it. It's
Thus,
intoxicating.
Barack Obama
Yeah.
putting his 2 cents in every chance that he gets.
Well, no, but tell me more about it because I have intentionally been watching as little news as possible. Because,
Well,
well, not.
I did buy a copy of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and Michelle Obama's books.
I am so sorry to hear that. What
Well,
possessed
I
you
got
to
to
do
thinking
that?
about it. Listen, well, I got to thinking about it.
Hmm.
If we have another shut in, I don't want to be run low on toilet paper because that's
Well,
all they're worth.
fair enough. That is true. And again, it doesn't even take a shut in. All it takes is a dock worker strike, and people will hoard toilet paper like.
Yeah, the dock worker, that's interesting that you brought that up, the dock worker strike.
Hmm.
Something about people holding up companies
Hmm.
for a 70% pay raise
Hmm.
just seems un-American to me.
Well, the problem again
And
with.
this man makes a million plus a year,
Hmm.
lives in a big mansion,
Hmm.
and he's saying that he deserves a 70% pay raise. I say do automation and make it as efficient as possible so we can have more people trading with the United States than being shut out because we have to pay some idiot that couldn't even graduate high school $150,000, $200,000 a year to push a damn button.
Well, here's the thing. It's just like the
Was I on a
unions.
soapbox?
Well, a little bit, but here's the thing. The
Woohoo!
unions, the unions are as corrupt, if not more so, than the federal government. The unions all have mob ties.
Mm-hmm.
All of that stuff. Again, the point of the matter, I guess, is it goes back to what I was saying when, the big realization that I had from the hurricane that came through. And again, that's the other reason I
Which
have been
one,
watching
Milton or
Helene.
Helene?
Milton was a bad storm, and I know what those people are going through.
Well,
Uh,
thankfully, I think it kind of lost some strength before
it
it
did,
actually hit.
it did,
So
but
thankful. So
that was a typical hurricane situation where the problem wasn't the wind, it's the water,
right, right.
and that's also
And
what took.
that one guy that they had been calling Lieutenant Dan rode it out in a sailboat.
Yep. Well, and they the same thing got Western North Carolina that's doing the damage in Florida, which is the water. Okay.
Right.
But again, the point of the matter that I was getting to is you have to be self-reliant, and your community needs to be reliant on itself.
Mm-hmm. Most
So
definitely.
that's what we have with the mobility that we've got in the United States and all of the stuff that's been done to completely destroy the culture of the United States and isolate people from one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. That's what has kept us from being able to have open and frank discussions and reach consensus. And that's where we are
Well,
falling
it
short.
is true, but their story has come out up here. I'm not sure of which. It may have been on the Daily Wire as well.
Hmm.
But the Democrats in Washington and our state capital, Raleigh,
Hmm.
here in North Carolina,
Hmm.
have actually been blocking people and money that were trying to come into the mountains to help,
Oh
and
yeah.
have been blocking the money and the people from coming in and help.
Yep, they have. Hmm.
And that's just that to me, that's unacceptable. Absolutely
Well,
unacceptable.
and it should be unacceptable. Okay. Now, well, and I was thinking about that the other day too. I mean, you think about the Borgias and the political intrigue of the
The only
courts.
thing that comes to my mind,
Hmm.
I watched the Borgias,
Hmm.
trust me, was the papal pair.
Hmm.
They were
Well,
some sadistic rascals.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, and you've got the auto de fe, the Inquisition. I mean, you've got all kinds of intrigue, palace intrigue. Henry
Hmm.
VIII. Okay, I mean, you go through.
It wasn't just Henry VIII; it was Henry VII, because Henry VII, his father, did not hardly have a claim on the throne at all.
Well, I know, but I mean, again, you look at all of this stuff that we have the history, the actual written history of, and
Hmm.
people, for some reason, seem to think that our leadership, and I'm saying that with air quotes, it elected in Washington is somehow e- evolved beyond those base actions and base
Hmm.
motivations. And nothing could be further from the
Well,
truth.
now I'm gonna say this.
Hmm.
I would wager that the politicians back then
Hmm.
were considerably smarter than the politicians we have today.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt of that in my mind, because they did not have the reliance on technology, or they did not have the technology that we have available today.
Right.
And that's really the only thing that separates us. And we've talked about this before. Our ancestors were a whole lot smarter. They had to be in
Mhm.
order
Well,
to
I mean, even
survive.
if you take, like, if you look at, like, I've seen magazines and stuff that had history tests in them from like the 30s
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that.
hmm
And I guarantee you, if you took a test that was given to the comparable grade then as opposed to now, there would be nobody in that grade today that would be able to pass.
Oh no, not at all. Again, the high school. I've seen a copy of the high school graduation test, the exit
Hmm.
exam that my grandparents had to
Well,
take
they
to
don't even have
graduate
to
from
do
high
that
school.
now, do they?
Right? No, they don't. Well, no, I think you do have to. You have to pass your exams, but they don't have an overall exit exam. Now, what you
Exactly.
do
Right.
is you take the SAT, and that is the
Oh,
federal
which,
government's engagement in the
which is
procedure.
a bunch of heart garbage, but that's a little off. Well, that's a topic for another day.
Right. But again, they they had to know trigonometry. They had to know rudimentary calculus to
Hmm.
graduate from high school.
Right.
Okay. They had to know
We
a
have
lot.
people graduating from high school that can't even figure out simple percentages of
Oh
dollar
yeah.
amounts off.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, again, it's they cannot make change without a cash register, or excuse me, a calculator. I mean, it is absurd, but that has been the well, back in the day, back in, the textile baron's philosophy was keep them stupid and keep them pregnant and you'll have a cheap labor force. Okay. Now that hadn't gotten any better and it's not going
No.
to get any better. Again, this is the thing. The same the whole thing is a great big game of king of the hill. They make the rules. It's like going to a casino. Anybody that gambles is a damn fool. You if
Well, you
you
never buck the odds because the odds are
no,
all on the house.
the odds are always in favor of the house. And that's the way it's designed. And that's the way the tax code is designed. That's the way all of the laws are designed. It's like, that was one of the things that Trump said in one of the debates with Hillary Clinton. The system is rigged. And then, of course, you had Hillary, no, the system's not rigged. But he said, I know the system is rigged because I use the system. Okay.
Well, and then that also led to the line to where she's talking about how Donald Trump used the IRS rules
Oh, yeah.
to get out of paying taxes. And then Donald Trump told her, well, so do all of your donors because I know all of them.
Yep, and that's the absolute truth.
But
So
if it's legal and he does it, then
then that's not a problem.
that's not his problem. That's
Yeah.
Hillary and them's problem because they in Washington, they knew the issue existed, but they continued to allow the loopholes to exist.
Well, they made the rules. They
Well,
created the
for their
loopholes.
friends in that
Yes.
situation, yes.
Yeah.
And
And
did you hear closing arguments on Friday?
no, I did not.
Okay, this is in the appeal of the 400 and some $1 million judgment
hmm
for the Trump's business dealings with Deutsche Bank,
hmm
which
hmm
we never figured out why it was brought in the first place because there wasn't a victim.
Well, yeah, and
And
what I understood, I heard about it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
well,
interrupt you.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just saying, it essentially came down in the closing arguments that the prosecution was begging not to be
Censured. Yeah.
censured
hmm
because for bringing the case because no, I didn't hear one judge on that panel even give the inkling that they agreed that the case should even have gone forward.
Well, it never should have. Neither
Well,
should
the
the
other one shouldn't have either.
No, they shouldn't have. And every one of now see, and here's the thing. If they are not censured, if they are not disbarred and disgraced, then we absolutely have a tremendous problem in our legal system, bigger than I think we already have. Now, I think we've already got one because the
Well, I
legal
know we
system,
have one
yeah.
because I'm going to tell you, if you and I,
hmm
let's just say we went to New York, how are you going to try Trump supposedly with the jury of his peers?
hmm
I guarantee you there is not one person on that jury that was a peer of his,
No, absolutely not.
especially
Absolutely not.
considering he lives in Florida.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, all of
But it
the,
would be the same way if I guarantee you that if you and I, being from the South,
hmm
were in New York
hmm
and something happened and got charged with a crime,
hmm
since we are from the South and do not have a Democrat leaning, we would not get fair treatment under any law in the state of New York, much
No,
less the city of New York.
no, and I mean again, the viewpoint, and we've talked about this before. The viewpoint of people of in in the deep blue states above the Manson-Nixon line, which I refer to as the godless northern wastelands. But their opinion of the South is that we're all a bunch of racist, bigoted,
Hmm.
Ku Klux Klan hood wearing, idiots. Okay. And, I mean, but, and they, I'm okay with that because that keeps them out of my backyard. And the more of
Well,
them that
and
stay out of my
hey,
backyard, the happier I am.
one of the Bed and Bath and Beyond or something, one of those candle companies got in trouble for selling a candle that's something about snowfall, and they didn't like it because they were swearing up and down that the pieces of the snowflake, because it shows part of a snowflake on the bottom of the jar,
Hmm.
look too much like Klan members, so they call it a clandle.
Oh, God.
People have way too much time on their hands. When
Well,
I looked at that, I saw Chinese throwing stars. I didn't see Klan members.
but the funniest thing about that is these are the same people that don't understand that the Klan was the enforcement arm of the
Of
Democrat
the
Party.
Democrat Party.
And how can they not? These are the same folks. Again, I was listening to the radio while I was driving today, and they were talking about the Drudge Report. Now, the Drudge Report used to be a media consolidation website that
Hmm.
Drudge ran, and that was where you went if you wanted to get all of the actual
Right.
news.
News. Exactly. And I agree with that. And at one time, I will admit that I did use Drudge,
Oh yeah,
but I
but he
haven't
sold
used
out.
Drudge in oh yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, he sold out a while back, and now so the fellow was reading the Drudge Report, and of course it was one of those articles. I don't know if it was from the New York Crimes, or if it was from
Or the
CNN or
Huffington
who was.
Post.
Yeah, but they were talking about, the Democrats do this, or the mainstream media does this every time you get a Democrat in office. They're sitting there. There's an article telling you that groceries are more affordable than they've ever been before. What kind of stupid do you have to be to read an article or to hear on the news, oh, the groceries are cheaper than they ever have been before, and then a carton of eggs costs you $6? I mean, my lord, how can you possibly be that stupid? And these are the same people. They'll read another article out of the same dadgum newspaper, or listen
Hmm.
to it off the same media broadcast, and go, oh yeah, that's true. Well, these people just lie. If they're going to lie to you about how much money you got in your pocket, which you can actually verify
Hmm.
yourself, what in the world are they willing to lie to you about that you can't verify easily?
Well, the answer is everything.
And that is the answer.
Because that's how they stay in business, is because they sensationalize everything to make you want to continue to your subscription, or to pay past the firewall or
Yeah.
paywall, so you continue to read their crappy articles. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've tried to read articles from the New York Post
Hmm.
or the New York Times. I don't find them very well written.
No, they're not, because they're hiring people that don't know how to write.
Well, people don't know how to write. It's all a internet-based society now. There's nobody that left. I don't even think that I don't think that the majority of books nowadays being published are actually being written by people.
I would agree.
I
I would
think they
sincerely
are
doubt it.
probably have a 45 to 50% input of a human,
Mhm.
and the rest of it is AI.
I would suspect you're correct.
Because I saw an article, surprisingly, it wasn't on the New York Times website, nor was it on the Drudge Report.
Mhm.
It was somewhere else, but I don't remember where. But this woman used AI and has published 150 novellas and novels on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. and she's talking about the formula she used, and she makes enough to where that's her full-time job and she doesn't have to do anything.
That's amazing. I don't know, my
Well,
friend.
it is kind of crazy, but another kind of nail in the coffin as we get ready to bury Uncle Sam, as the
Mm,
American dream continues to wither and die on the vine, is you have the Biden-Harris administration filing a lawsuit in federal court in New York to stop the state of Virginia from removing
yep,
non-citizens from voting rolls.
yep. I saw that the other day myself.
So my question is, if they're not citizens, how did they get on the voting rolls in the first place? Is that because Hillary needed them, or is that because Joe Biden needed them when he ran?
Well, they both need them. Well, Biden needed them when he ran, but again, that's one of the things they're putting them on the voter rolls when they get
Hey,
a.
in North Carolina, we removed 750,000 names from our voter rolls.
Yeah, I haven't checked what's been done in South Carolina yet, but again, they were giving them they were and we talked about that. They were giving them voter registration forms when they got licenses at the DMVs. Now, the first place,
Mm-hmm.
how in the world, if you're illegal, how in the world you get
Are
a
you getting a
license
license?
in the first
Exactly.
place? Now, in the second place, once you've got said license, which you ought not have in the first place, and we're handing you a voter registration now. Of course, Governor Foghorn Leghorn McMaster said he was going to open an investigation into the matter, which of course is politician speak for we're going to ignore this until you forget about it. So I'm not sure what's happened in South Carolina, but I guarantee you,
Mm-hmm.
if South Carolina goes any direction other than red, it
It's
is
shenanigans.
shenanigans. That is absolute truth. I promise you. I mean, it's one of those things. I only know
You
a
know,
handful of people. Go ahead.
why is it when you see anything on the news, and it doesn't even have to be real news, it could be fake news. Why is it now the overwhelming feeling is when you hear something about our government, the first thing that pops into your mind is, what are they trying to hide?
Well, because they're always hiding something.
Well, I know, but that why where how did we get to the point to where we lost control
We
and
let
we
the,
actually lost the ability to rein in the government permanently?
well, I've mentioned it many times. You've had politicians like Schumer, Pelosi, uh, McConnell. God, I mean, there's just a laundry list of these people that
Hmm.
have been in political power in Congress for more than 40 years.
And
More
for all,
than
and
40
just to
years.
clarify things for our listeners that may be a little inebriated as I am, that means they ain't never had a real job in their life.
Oh, absolutely. And so again, this is the thing. What I'm saying is that it's somewhere along the lines, and I do personally believe that the tipping point was during the Obama presidency, and the
Oh,
tipping
Obama
point.
by far was the very beginning point of the division that is in this country today.
Oh well, absolutely, and it all occurred when he bailed, during the bank bailout.
Yep.
Because when they defrauded on all of the stuff that he gave them, and nothing happened to actually help the American people, it was just going into the pockets of the folks that were already ridiculously
All the
wealthy.
golden parachutes.
Yeah.
But
When
that's
that
Barry had to do that because he had to cover up for the people that knew he wasn't really born in the United States, and he was put together by George Soros and all the other ones.
Right, well, be that as it may, the that was when we suddenly became the most racist country on the planet again. That was when racism cropped up again and all the race baiters started, was during that time. But that wasn't the point where it fell apart. The point where I knew that the government was no longer afraid of the people, sufficiently afraid of its citizenry to actually make promote legislation that is beneficial to the citizenry was when Nancy Pelosi stood there on the floor of the Senate and said, we're not going to tell you what's in the bill. You have to vote for it before we tell you what's in it. And
Yeah.
they did. She should have been censured and expelled for making that statement.
Nah,
Period.
that's too benign. She should have done what they should have done to her, what they used to do down here. Run her ass out on a rail and tar and feather
Oh
her.
yeah, tarred and feathered. Yep. One of
And
my
matter of
favorite
fact,
scenes.
there's a lot of people in public office now that I think that should be a befitting end to their careers.
Well, and again, it is kind of the point is that if the community were still tight knit enough, again from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, one of my favorite movies. That was the very end
Hmm.
when the candidate showed his true colors and showed who he was. That
Hmm.
didn't fit with the values of that community, and they rode him out of town on a rail.
And that's exactly what they should do.
Absolutely. But again, you got to have close enough relationships with your neighbors. You got to have community.
Now, we ain't talking about sleeping with your neighbor's wife or your neighbor's husband.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of that going on during that time frame too, but
Well, that's
nonetheless,
probably, well, yeah.
I mean, that's something that, that it's people, that's one of the biggest problems with history is people can't keep their britches up.
Well,
That
I
has
guess that
created
could be a problem. It
a
could create
significant amount of
issues.
strife. Can't keep their britches up or their skirts down.
Hmm.
Which, of course, that's how we managed. There were all sorts of different hominids, uh, along with homo. You had the Neanderthals, you had the
Hmm.
now I can't think of any of them but Homo habiliensis and all of those things. Anyhow, you had all these
Is
different
that part
hominids
of the
around.
LGBTQIA plus minus sign EIEO
Oh
movement?
Lord, no, no, no. That was before we had confusion about just Homo sapiens that's ourselves. But the
Oh,
reason that Homo sapiens won out over all of those other hominids is because we're the sluttiest of all of them. We slept them all into submission because we've got their DNA mixed in with ours. We
well,
just a bunch of
I was
hoes.
glad you said that instead of saying that we had the bigger brains, because I would beg to differ with that.
Oh no, Neanderthal had a larger brain capacity than we do. And
It kind of reminds me of the quote from George Bernard Shaw:
what was that?
"A government that robs Peter to pay Paul can always depend on the support of Paul."
That is the truth. Well, that's one of the things I've said. The wolf would not be nearly so powerful if he did not have accomplices amongst the sheep.
That is true.
Yeah.
And
And I think,
that is probably the most succinct castigation of our government in history.
but it's more of a castigation of the population, more of a
Well,
castigation
that's
of the
true too.
citizenry. Again, more of these people need to be run out of town on a rail. And I mean, it's just, you ought not, ill-gotten gains. You should not, that's part of another part of the problem. There was a cultural shift where people, and this happened, I want to say it was at the beginning of the internet, and it kind of,
Hmm.
where people became famous simply because they were famous. And the Kardashians fall into that category. Paris Hilton falls into that category. There's a slew of those people that they're household names, but their sole contribution to society has been to be stupid on television or something like that,
Or plastic surgery.
or plastic surgery. I mean, they've accomplished nothing, and people idolize them. And of course, the idolization of money. Money, 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 money. There is not a rap song on I won't say that. I'm not, because I don't listen to rap. The vast majority of the rap songs that I am aware of are all about money and hoes. Okay.
Well, it's more. Well, it's a little more than that. I think it's a little more in depth than that because I think it's more about a thuggish lifestyle.
Yeah.
That what ends up happening is it glorifies a lifestyle that does not perpetuate longevity of life.
Well, it perpetuates violence and
Hmm. An
thuggery.
early
Yeah.
grave.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's the thing that, when I was talking about you got to protect your own, and that's part of being a man. Is
Yep.
the thing of the matter is that the only rights that you have are the ones that you are willing to give your life for. If you're not willing to give your life for a right, you don't have that right. If you're not willing to give your right to keep your guns, then you don't have the right to own your firearms. If you're
Well,
not,
now that's an interesting point because uh, Mr. Waltz there was a video of him. He's a big gun guy, guys, folks. He's a big gun guy. Dabbling fool couldn't even load a damn shotgun.
yeah, well, I mean, again, the man that's the whole
If
thing.
God hadn't have loaded his pecker with sperm, he never would have been able to shoot nothing out of it either.
You know, I really don't want to give that any more thought at all. I didn't want the image in my head to begin with. But again, this is the thing. If you're an anti-Trump person, okay, if you are a never Trumper, if you cannot bring yourself to vote for Trump, for God's sake, vote for Robert Kennedy. Because
Or Jill Stein.
or Jill Stein, hell, vote for Kermit the Frog. But
Hell, write me in. I'll do.
yeah,
Give me the tools. I will finish the job.
I mean, but Harris and Waltz are the two most completely incompetent idiots I think I have ever seen in
And if
politics.
if this Imhoff, Kamala's husband,
Mm.
would have this stuff would have come out several months ago when that Me Too stuff, they would have run his butt out of the town with slapping a woman and all that stuff.
No, they wouldn't have. They'd have found another. I mean, that's like they take us. They'll get a sacrificial lamb and take them to the slaughter to get them to shut up and still be able to claim, oh well, we're on your side because we took this despicable person out. But they never take out their own. They
Well,
never
that's
pull
true.
out their own.
I'll tell you one thing though, if she gonna get elected, she got a lot of whistles to blow.
There's not the only possible way that she wins the election is through cheating.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, it's got to be
Well, and
shenanigans.
now there's this controversy about the CBS interview she did at 60 Minutes.
Oh yeah, they dubbed in an answer
Yeah.
because she was so inept at answer. Did you see the one where she was doing a town hall and they took a picture from behind her and you could see the teleprompter? She was doing a town hall with a teleprompter
Hmm.
because she cannot speak
And the one where
extemporaneously.
she had her earphone in and said, "This is a live interview," in her ear to the people that were talking to her.
I didn't see that one,
Yeah,
but I
that she
did
did
see the
that
one.
too.
I did see the one where teleprompter failed, and she just repeated the same phrase like 8 times. Oh my lord!
But she's supposed to be the cognizant one out of the party that's in there now.
Yeah,
Breaking news this afternoon, though, is this is kind of disheartening. They actually stopped a third attempt on Donald Trump's life when he was
yep.
speaking in Coachella Saturday.
Hmm.
So it's at least maybe the Secret Service is doing their dabbling job now. I don't know if it was the Secret Service or the actual police, but kudos to them for stopping it before anybody else got hurt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, that's the Iran, China, and Russia are basically the Axis. They would be the Axis powers in comparison to
Well,
World War II.
I've been doing some thinking. Granted, China, I don't really consider Russia may be geopolitical. I don't really consider Russia a threat.
Oh, I don't think they're a threat to the United
Russia
States.
would always, if they were going to do anything, it would be salami tactics. They would try to take it in pieces. They wouldn't try to take it in a whole.
Well,
China is a threat, but the threat that I see
Mhm.
is not from a country outside of the United States. It's from within.
Oh no, that is the biggest threat that we got. But the point that I was trying to make is those three countries do not want do not want Trump back in the office back. They do not want a strong United States. They do not want the United States to have a strong leader. They want the idiots that we have currently. That's what they're after. And so of course they're going to try to kill him because they cannot stop him from winning the vote any other way. There's just no possible way. So they got to kill him. I mean, I said that 6 months ago, which
Mm-hmm.
before the first assassination attempt. And I hate that I was right, but yeah, they're absolutely they're going to keep trying all the way up until the point where, we
Well, if he does
remove
get
their
elected,
ability to do so.
well, if he does get elected, it's not going to stop. They're just going to keep trying to assassinate a sitting president, more than
Oh,
likely.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, again, China's not going to do that because they value the trade with the United States too much. They, all of the United States are the consumers to the world.
Right.
Okay.
We are the market.
Yes.
We are the marketplace.
So
If you want to kill China, cut off their ability to trade in the United States, the Communist
absolutely.
Party will fold like a cheap whore.
Right. And Russia's not going to do it because, again, they're not really the only thing that they ever had that could stand toe to toe with the United States was their nuclear arsenal. Okay. Um, so again, if we put strong leadership back in the leadership roles of the United States, and I'm not just
Mm-hmm.
talking about the White
Well,
House.
excuse me. I don't really but the thing about Russia,
Mhm.
they were the evil empire of the Reagan administration. And,
Yes.
I get that.
Mhm.
But looking at Russia now
Mhm.
and looking and listening to people that live there,
Right.
they have the same problem. They're not gung ho government fanatics that are all thinking, oh, well, we're going to kill these people and kill these people. That's not what
Well,
the
they're
day to day Russian people are thinking about anyway, just like it's not what the day to day American people are thinking about.
No, again, Stalinist communist regime ended with Gorbachev and the
Hmm.
Berlin Wall. Okay, so I don't really, I don't, it's not like Brezhnev. Brezhnev was a scary dude. Okay, he was absolutely in that in that Stalinist
Well,
line.
Khrushchev and all of those
Khrushchev
were.
was, yeah, absolutely, and that they're gone. Okay, I don't, all of this stuff, all of the Russia, Russia, Russia screaming and yelling and whatnot. I, I don't, you know, the war would have been over if it were not for the Biden administration continuing that war in Ukraine.
The war would never have started if it wasn't for
Correct,
the Biden administration.
correct, absolutely. So, and again, Obama is when, they forced Putin into a position where he felt like he had to invade the Crimean Peninsula.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, speaking of Obama again,
Right.
in that same speech where he was getting chanted off the stage, he claims one of his claims is that the great economy that Trump had was really because of him.
Oh no, yeah, I heard of a lot of Obama fanatics that
So he
made
hadn't
that
been in
claim
the
as
White
well.
House in 8 years, right?
Yeah.
And in this one week, I've heard more from him than I heard in the last 8 years, and I want to hear in the next 8 years.
Yeah. No, I know. I agree.
And with that, boys and girls, that's the snout to the curly tail and all the flossy farts in between. And we gone.
Have a good evening.
All right, you crazy bunch of motherfuckers. Wait, can we say mother? Anyway, you've been listening to the Carolina Underground. It isn't politically correct, it's just correct. Our motto is, if you can't go balls deep, don't go at all. Actually, that's not our motto, and I'm sorry, I don't even know what that meant. All right, we gotta go. We hope you enjoyed the show. And if you didn't, we hope it really pissed you off. Follow us on Twitter at Carolina UNDGRND Underground, get it? Or drop us an email at Carolina UNDGRND, get it? At northstate.net. We want to hear from you. Y'all be cool. See you next time on Carolina Underground.